Hey crafty cuties, welcome back to Paper Terrace. If you're new, I'm Jessica, and today I'm going to share a quick unboxing with you of a lovely journal kit, and we're gonna get right into making a boho patchwork cover for a journal. So let's get into it. This is a pack from Boho Needs. I will put the shop below. This comes from India and it comes with a lot of love. And if you're new, I have done a lot of unboxings with this shop, and so I already know I'm going to love it. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm trying my camera a little bit closer today so that you can actually see everything really nice. Okay, so first of all, this comes with a bunch of trims. These are, I believe this is like sari silk, and it looks like it's dyed, and there are such pretty colors. I'm not going to unravel each one, but I kind of want to show you because there's so much fun and texture that comes along with these types of trims. You could use these for journal closures, or since it's so wide, you can use it as, you know, fabric also. And of course, I'm just going to kind of wrap that around there kind of close. But yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous colors here that go along perfectly with the journal pack here. The trims are my favorite always, and you get enough for, like, you could use this on a page, you could make tabs. We'll use some on the cover today, but I always love these ones with the florals. Some appliques, beaded, really pretty too. I love the little mirrored sequins on these. They shine so nice in the sun. Some reds. This is a really pretty green. Oranges, a little bit of pinks. Everything just plays so nicely together. So I think this is, oh, this is so cute. I think this is kind of the perfect type of journal kit to use for something like a patchwork journal, but you're gonna see here, I'm gonna set that aside. Each of these pieces are rather big. You could use just one of these on a journal cover, or, I mean, so many different uses. Use it for decorating different pages, making pockets, things like that. So today I'll just show you one thing that I like to do. Oh, this is cute. Very cute. We have some sheer fabrics. Ooh, the yellow, nice and bright. And there are little, oh, on this side, there's like little sequins that make it pop a bit. We have, ooh, this is different. It's very sparkly. I can't actually tell which is the top side because they're both really cool, but sparkly, shimmery. Oh, I think it's actually folded too. Okay, so there's a larger piece of this too. I would say these sizes so far are a little bit bigger than like 12 by 12. Some oranges. Ooh, then we have some darker colors. This kind of goes with that green trim. And that's like a velvety, a really pretty kind of, I was gonna say gold, but maybe it's more, yeah, it's kind of gold in some lights, and that's crazy. It's almost, you can see a little bit of like black, and so that's cool. And then we have this like maroon color. Okay, then there's more. It comes with like a little bead pack, so fun for making charms, dangles, whatever you want. I'm not going to take out everything, but I wanted to point out that I always feel like these pieces are really cool because you could totally just put this on the spine of your journal and it's like already made up for you for like a charm. But that could be cool on the cover too. So lots of fun little bits and pieces. These are always like a favorite part of these packs. Oh, there's a little like dragonfly. There's just so many little treasures, I feel like, in here. Okay, then we have some papers, which I probably won't play much with today. Oh, wait. I'm gonna make you wait for that part. But I have done lots of things with the paper packs too, like decorated envelopes and things like that. You could use them as journal pages as well. Oh boy. And then she tempts me with the mushrooms. I wish I had more time to play with these, but I don't today. I don't. Just really pretty colors in this one. Cute. A little fox. The mushrooms are so cute. I wish I had more time to play. I like that these are double-sided. Oh, there's 2 pages here. So I'm feeling like this is obviously, it could be used a lot more for fall, but I'm gonna, like I said, I'm going to use the fabrics in a way that maybe won't really reflect fall, but I do love that there's a lot of fall elements in this one. Okay, these are so cool. These are envelopes. I will probably hoard these. I love envelopes as it is. Maybe they're called like a cash envelope, I'm not sure, but so cute. Really pretty too. The gold foil. Yeah. I feel like getting something like this in your journal kit is so much fun. You could use it for, you know, your one project you're working on, or you could disperse it between other projects. Okay, lots of stickers. Now I forgot, we're making a journal cover here, so we need to get going because you might just be here for the journal cover, and I do apologize if that's it. Okay, lots of fun little like journaling cards, collage cards, whatever you want to call it. And there's even more papers, kind of like, these are more like a vellum paper. We got the mushroom again, journal cards, very cute. So many. Okay, so I'm gonna set this aside and we will finally get started on our patchwork journal cover. Okay, and I'm giving you the easy no-sew version of this. So we're gonna start with a piece of cardboard, and this is about 5 inches by 8. And I am mostly going to be decorating the cover. We're not putting the full journal together, but we'll get there when we get there. So I'm gonna call this my panel, and this is gonna be my top panel for the journal cover. I will show you how I would put it onto a journal. So let's go ahead and pick. I do wanna do like the yellows, the oranges, but I don't want it to be, I don't want mine to end up looking very like fall, even though I know this journal kit has a lot of fall elements, but we are going to tailor it to what we want it to look like, and you can easily do that. So I'm going to start with those. I'm just going to start cutting them up, and then I'm going to use some trims as well. My patchwork journals, I typically do more of a, I don't know how to say, like a messy, scrappy patchwork versus like a really pretty, clean cut patchwork. Also, my scissors suck, so bear with me as I try to cut these fabrics. But I will get started by, I'm going to grab my fabric scissors, but unfortunately, I think I have messed those up as well. So we'll just give it a try. I'm going to start by just cutting out some, gosh, I really did mess up all my scissors by journal making. Well, hopefully we can get through this part. And I don't want to have to make you watch me cut all of these up, but we're gonna just start by cutting some squares, some rectangles, and I'm just going to, I think I'm gonna cut these off so you don't have to watch that torture. Apologies if the view changed slightly, but we have some fabric squares now, and I just cut these up in all different shapes and sizes, and now we're going to get to covering our base. So I like to do this in a couple steps, and I call this my base, and then we're going to create our fabric layer now. So I'm going to just kind of play around with the little squares that I have and figure out kind of what I want to, where I want to place things. I am using this craft as my background, and keeping in mind that some of these fabrics are sheer and you may see that. So you are welcome to cover this either with a fabric. I was thinking about using the embossed fabric that could look, or sorry, paper, embossed paper, that could look really cool, but I also sort of like the look that the craft gives it, so we're gonna stick with that today to keep it really simple. So I will just kind of play around with placement. I don't like my layers and squares to line up perfectly to one another. I like it to have a little bit of randomness, I guess you could say. So I did cut up some of the trims that I have as well, and I'm going to use those here. Okay, something like this is a good start. Let's see. Could go like that. I am liking all of the orange. I do have this trim too, and I hadn't cut that up yet, but oh, now that I'm putting it on here, it's also so cute. Okay, I think I'm gonna wait to cut that. I think I'm gonna start by just gluing everything down where it is now. In fact, I might shift the, okay, yeah, I think so. So I'm going to kind of, I'll just move one. Now, if you have an exact placement and you don't want to forget, I would just take a picture of it with your phone, and then you can take a piece of paper, put it on top, and then flip it over, if that makes sense. And then you can look at your picture to recreate the pattern that you made up. So I'm using a PVA glue. Since we're not going to be sewing, I want to make sure that everything is down good, but I also want to avoid wrinkling between the paper and the fabric. So I like this white PVA glue that I get from Amazon. It really doesn't add any bubbles, and it's nice and very strong. Okay, so sometimes you might have a little space between two fabrics, and I'll just keep that usually and come back and add like a little bit of trim if I need to. Okay, just trying to kind of remember. Do something like that. Okay. Also, if there is a little bit of overlap, like if the fabric is going over the edges, don't worry about that. We can trim that up later. You can also have fun with the different scissors. I have some shearing scissors. I don't think that's what they're actually called. I forgot the name, but the ones that give your fabric a zigzag finish. And that can be a really fun way to cut your fabrics. You can do it to all of them, or you can just do it to a few. In fact, I'm gonna do that to the top here. And it just gives a little bit extra detail. I didn't cut mine super straight, but that's okay. And so I am going over the edge a little bit, and like I said, I will just trim that later. So let's see. And sometimes I do change it up as I'm going. Maybe we'll stick to this over here. And you can see that I am smoothing the glue out. I am doing it with my fingers, just it's kind of the quickest way. I don't mind getting a little messy. I am sorry that I'm shaking you. Yep, just enough to hold it down. And if there is a little bit of white showing through, that absolutely will dry. So, okay, now I feel like I really am changing it up, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with what my little heart is telling me. We'll just add some up here because I got a little too much. Yeah, if you get too much of this glue, like I said, the white, it will show through temporarily, but it always dries up. And I got glue everywhere, so just trying to wipe that off before I put the next one down. And I am going to kind of flatten this sari silk out best I can, but I'm also okay with there being a little bit of texture. And then I'm going to try and tuck the end of this one under this gold fabric, just because the gold fabric had a cleaner cut edge. And so I'll probably add just a little bit more glue underneath this one, since I kind of tore it up. Okay, there we go. Now let's see. I'm thinking, I do really like this fabric. I already used some, but sometimes I will use two. Okay, I think we'll go like that. Just add a little bit more. And if you're noticing my cardboard here, it's curling up a little bit, and that will happen to this glue, but I find that it happens less than with some other glues. And if you just dry it with something heavy on top, it'll absolutely flatten out again. Okay, just adding a little bit more glue. Now I do love taking this to my sewing machine and sewing around each one, but again, I wanted this one to be a no-sew version. Okay, so I did want to add some of this fabric. So, okay, let's finish off this little edge here. So I am going to just cut the sari silk. I'm telling you guys, I don't know, my scissors, what happened to, well, I do know what happened. I've been using them on all the wrong things, but I hate having to use them on, I hate following rules. That's what it is. I don't like following crafty rules. Just add a little bit here. And then okay. So I'm going to trim around the edges of this and just trim off all the excess. You can leave yours if you like that look. Okay, I got that all cleaned up. So the next step is where I will do any detailing or embellishing. So sometimes that is just adding a few more squares of the same fabric, like to make more layers, if that makes sense. For this cover, I'm just gonna add this trim, and I'm just figuring out where I want to place it real quick. Sort of like it right there. I feel like you wouldn't expect it right there. So we're gonna do that. For this trim, I'm just gonna add glue straight to the thicker parts of this because it is very sheer, so I think it'll stay much better like that, and then around the edges here. And again, this is sheer, so we're gonna see the white at first, but it will dry. Okay, I think I'm just gonna put that right there. And then with this embellishing, I am going to now add a couple of the beads. So now, like you saw, this pack came with a bunch of beads, appliques, all kinds of fun things that you could use. I'm going to use this little, I think it's like a little dragonfly sort of thing. I sort of like it right there. Okay, I'm just going to place it for a minute. And then I have a couple little dangles that I may want to also add, using like a little bulb pen. I think it's really fun to add like little paper, or not paper clips, little safety pins, dangles. You could add extra trim along the side. You could, I have this really pretty kind of like stained glass. It's a bead actually, but I could use it. Oh my gosh, that's actually so pretty as like an embellishment essentially. Okay, I think I'm going to add this little dangling butterfly. Let's let's just add all of the things. I probably wouldn't normally add this many things, but it's looking real pretty. So we're gonna go for it. Again, I find that this glue is perfect for this kind of thing as well. I'm gonna put something heavy on this whole thing, but for the little bead, this is just a little butterfly bead that I'm trying to show you, and yeah, I think you can see that. And so I'm just, with that, I'm going to just put through the fabric. Actually, I'm gonna put it through the fabric, but also, since it's going through the top, I think, well, no, I was thinking of putting it all the way through the cardboard. This is just packaging cardboard from like a paper pad, I think. Okay, I'm just going to see if that works. Yeah, we'll just dangle it from the top there. That's good, because then it can be removable if needed. And then, yeah, I think I wasn't going to add this many things, but I sort of like how they are placed like this, like kind of throughout in a little arrow threes. But normally I would cluster my 3 little embellishments or 3 little buttons all together. But I guess in this sense, we're spreading them out, and I feel like it still works. Okay, so we're gonna place something very heavy on this, set it aside while I just prep the rest of the cover. So I have a piece of muslin, and then I have my pieces for the actual journal, 5 by 8. As I mentioned, the journal cover that we just created was just a journal cover base that we're gonna add. So we are just basically going to glue all of these pieces down. I'm not gonna get too detailed in this part of the tutorial. If you want to see like an actual full journal tutorial, I have plenty from start to finish on my page. I mostly just wanted to focus on the patchwork decorating. So I'm going to just quickly glue down all of these pieces. This, I think, is a 2.5 inch spine. And I'm just going to glue all of these straight down to the muslin. I trimmed the corners, and now I'm just going to tightly wrap all of the edges around. And I should probably let all of this dry with something heavy on it as well. If you saw, there were a lot of wrinkles in this muslin, but I just made sure to glue it down and pull it around the edges very tight. And it will honestly work out most of those wrinkles, but it would be best to let this dry with something heavy just so it's nice and flat if you're doing this at home. Now that the cover is covered with the muslin, we can go ahead and just glue this on. If you want the rest of your journal to just be muslin, I've actually done that. You could do all kinds of things, decorate this with stencils and inks, so many options, endless. I am going to actually take some of this yellow fabric that I had, and it's not cut perfectly, but I'm just going to glue this on. This will be on the spine and the back page. Since I have a little extra fabric, it does come onto the cover, so that will be under our panel. Okay, I just kind of want enough glue to hold this down, since we have that extra fabric that will be going over onto the cover under the base. That will hold it on too. So I'm going to try to do this in stages actually. Nope, I did it the wrong side. There are little sequins on it, and it's hard to see unless it's like right in the sun. Honestly, I think that this will be enough. Could totally take this to the sewing machine and sew it on if you wanted sewing detail, but I'm just gonna go like that. And now we can actually glue our main panel on, and I will add a good amount of glue all the way around. Okay, just make sure that you're lining this up good with the front. Like if you need to fold the side to make sure you're not gluing it like onto the spine. Ooh, this is so pretty. I feel like even adding the sheer fabric really adds a lot. It makes it look like you took a lot more time, but really we just quickly glued that down. There is our Boho Patchwork journal cover, and it's beautiful. The lighting's awful right here, so I'm going to give you some better view, a better view of this when I can put it in the sun. And then of course you can decorate the inside. I'm just going to add some paper like that and some of this for the closure, but I'm not going to do that in this part. I mostly just wanted to show you the cover. I hope that was helpful, and if you were feeling overwhelmed with patchwork, specifically like bohemian style, hopefully that will help you out. And I will just show you some final pictures. I do think I'm going to take this through the sewing machine, but again, you can do this totally no sew. I'll see you guys later. Bye.